made it back to the Brainerd International Raceway. This is basically the last place I normally race. Not that I dislike it. I come up here all the time, race with some friends, but pretty high class operation for a guy like myself. So we're here pretty early. It's actually Thursday morning. Racing doesn't start till tomorrow. So today we've got tech inspection and I need to get the car switched over to radials. So we're gonna change the springs, we're gonna change the bar angles, move a little bit of weight, and flip the wheels and tires over. I actually took my old wheels and I mounted 315s on those because if you remember, the offset on my other wheels, it sticks out too far. We don't have any clearance for the quarter, so this is gonna suck them in quite a bit. It's gonna look atrocious, but I think it'll do what it's supposed to do, which is form over function. Now, I'm gonna say this, I'm probably gonna edit it out, but the DA is looking like it's gonna be just right this weekend. The correct amount of wind, the motor feels healthy, on a radial, and this is about as good as the track prep gets within, I'll say, like 5 states. Just maybe, this is the weekend for that $4.99. I always leave out some detail in these videos, and it makes it kind of confusing, so I'm gonna try really hard this weekend to include all the detail. So, this race, we're at Brainerd International Raceway in Brainerd, Minnesota. If you want to look it up, it's pretty far north. It's about 3 hours north of where I live. This would be by far the closest like national track where the NHRA stops. And every holiday weekend, they do a race. So this one's called Streetcar Showdown. In July, they'll have the Show and Go, and in the fall, they will have Streetcar Shootout. Maybe I don't remember what it's called. Muscle Car Shootout. Either way. The point is, this race is supposed to be a heads-up, street-legal race. Now, this has been going on way before I was around. I want to say they've been doing this for 30 years or something like that. I started coming up here to spectate and actually help Logan a little bit. He's got that brown Camaro that's on the channel once in a while. Usually when we're up here, you'll see it. And then a few years ago, I started coming up with my S10, and I would do some of the bracket stuff, and I'd watch, they call it like the Fast 5, so that's your 5 heads-up classes, which is actually morphed into 7 now. And then I started racing my S10 in King Street, which is kind of like your open quarter-mile class, basically anything goes. So I haven't brought the Camaro up here for 3 years because it doesn't fit a class at all. But I always come up here and I always bring my rig and tools and just try to help or spectate or whatever. So we're coming up this weekend, and I thought, you know what? Why don't we bring the Camaro and do a little bit of radial testing? Because this is about the best track we're gonna get on. But there's not a class for the car, really, that it fits in. I could run like King Street or something. I don't care to run quarter mile. And they only have a couple 1/8 mile classes, which is Limited Street and Outlaw Street. Limited Street, you cannot have a back half car, which I have with the 4-link car. So that puts me in Outlaw Street. So we're basically testing this weekend. I'm gonna race and qualify in Outlaw Street, but there's usually 8 cars or so, and I'm gonna guess we're gonna qualify number 8. But we'll just do our best, try to make a decent effort, you know. Basically my goal is if I can qualify anything other than last, I'd be super happy. So if I can be like 7 out of 8, call it a victory. But in reality, we're just doing some testing. All right, so I just pulled the passenger side rear shock out. So right now, this is a 110 spring, and we're gonna switch over to an 80, which is a much lighter spring. You can almost compress it by hand. So the theory here, the stiffer spring we use on the bias ply. We're not trying to separate the car or anything like that for radial, but now that we're on the radial, we're gonna try to separate through the car. So when you watch like Radio versus the World or something, and you see that back gap on the wheel start to open up, that's what we're gonna try to do here. So we'll obviously make some bar changes for that, tire change. We're also gonna swap these springs. So a lighter spring, it's got more stored energy. So you put all your weight on this and then let off, it's gonna spring apart faster than this 110, because that 110 is hardly compressing, so there's no sprung weight. The 80's gonna have a lot more sprung to it. So when the car starts to try to do its job, the spring's gonna come in and it's gonna help it separate even faster. Or more, I should say. All right, so now we got the 80 on there. And if you notice in the time lapse, I gave it some preload right away, or not preload, some ride height right away, because the 80 is a lot softer. The cars probably want to sit low. I haven't moved my shock bar yet. I'll go into the car and remind you about that issue. because that's going to prevent us from putting this car quite as low as I want it to be. I did, as long as we had on the bench, I made the shock adjustment out of the car. I got my rebound adjustments up here on the top, and it's a little bit tricky to get to when the car is put together. So we went ahead and did that already. So for the past 2 hours, I've been setting up the 4-link on the car, and we're all done with that. And the last step was to put the wheels on, and now I want to vomit. I forgot just how bad these are. I don't even want to show you. It's so disgusting. Oh God. Oh my God. Look how far in the... Why do these have so much back space? This was a big tire wheel for this guy. I'm about ready to just forfeit this whole event because I don't... It's okay. It's gonna be fine. Just grow up, John. These are on here for a reason, for testing. Just get over yourself. Good side, take your pictures now. If you want to take a picture, take it now. Because the rest of the weekend... Ugh. Oh, it's so bad. Oh my goodness. Well, this is what it is. Guess I need to start saving my pennies, buy some new wheels for the radials, because I can only do this for about 1 or 2 events. The deed is done and it cannot be undone. Okay, it's actually not that bad when it's on the ground. If I could figure out how to get the powder coat off, that's a bad decision I made a couple years ago. If I get the powder coat off, polish it, it won't be that bad. If you stand right here, you can't be at any other angle, but right here it looks good enough. All right, we're heading up to tech. Here's a fun fact for you. I've never passed tech on the first try at Brainerd when I bring a new vehicle, which is 3 times. Today could be the day. I highly doubt it. Highly doubt today's the day. So we'll go figure out what's wrong with it. We'll bring it back. We'll fix it, and we'll go back up.
Do we need to stand on the scale too to help you out or not?
Oh, I think we're good by a while.
What class we gonna run?
Outlaw Street 660.
Outlaw 660?
Outlaw 660. So we're on the scale right now. But here they do kind of a checklist. They check over the car, make sure you fit all the rules for the class, make sure you make minimum weight, and then after the scale, we'll pull forward and then we'll go through actual tech inspection. What are we at? 2985?
2985.
So I should have not had the cheeseburger on the way up. I should have skipped the cheeseburger is what you're saying?
Yeah, maybe.
So we're at 2985, class minimum's 2600. I shouldn't say class minimum, my combination needs to be 2600. Outlaw Street is basically the most wide open class there is here. It's exactly what it sounds like, Outlaw Street. There's not a ton of rules, a couple tire rules, some weight rules. That's about it. Now, we just have to make it through the actual tech inspection. Finally did it. Passed tech on the first try. Woo. Oh man, that's like a victory right there for the whole weekend. So Greg came over and helped me, but I didn't know that it came at a cost. He came back and said, now I got to push my car. Problem that he didn't see coming is I don't know how to use a push car. So it started here. I hooked up to it about 19 times. We couldn't get it back. He had a really disappointed father look on his face. And
I wasn't mad, I was just very disappointed.
And said, get out of the way, I'd rather push my car. So he pushed it here by hand. And now I'm a lot more lined up. So we're gonna try this again. We made it. We made it through the scale. We made it over here to tech. I was more uncomfortable pushing Greg's car than I was the first time I let go of the button after I put the turbo on my car. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but it costs a fair bit more than mine. Alright, we're in the lanes, Outlaw 660. If you just want to get a piece of what this class looks like. I don't have one. Will you, will you point it backwards at my car so I can get some footage too?
So, Dan Geffrey Shagway, he wants to make a solo pass.
Oh.
Because it's the first pass on this brand new
That's
setup.
fair.
So that means the two people behind him would run each other if they choose to go separate lanes, which would be Camaros. Just Camaros.
What lane you going in?
What lane do you want?
I don't care.
I want right.
I'm a 6-second car. It don't matter. It's going down either lane.
You want to go down the left? I'll
go down the left.
All right, I'll make sure I point this backwards so
Yes.
you can get your car in it.
Good. Excellent. All right. We triple checked it. We double checked it. We quadruple checked it. We got the whole crew here. Everybody except Matt. Matt's on his way. Zach's here. Josh is here. Well, that was probably a little bit aggressive. I think we tried it in the pits. It was making like 12 or 13, 5,000 RPM. No bootstrapping whatsoever. That sucks. That was a complete waste of a pass. Oh well. So we're gonna have to go back. It's tough when you completely zip the tire. I don't even know if it was close to working or not. So we'll take a bunch of power out of it. Probably put a timing ramp in it like I should have, and we'll try it again. Back up for attempt number 2. We took all the power out of it. Got a little overzealous on the first hit there. That was my fault. I should have listened to everybody that said not to. So we turned the start line RPM down. We turned the boost ramp down. We put a timing ramp in it. We added a little tire pressure. A whole bunch of changes. So I think this is going to be a pretty soft hit. But at this point I just need to see it go A to B. If it won't go A to B on this, then we're gonna have to start looking at bars again and see. Obviously I got something grooved up. How many guys?
Did your fucking tank work?
How many guys? You gotta open it. Come on.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
3 guys.
3 guys. 4 guys. We can't fill a tire, and here we are in Outlaw Street. My goodness.
Look at it. Looks like we're going to kick it off with Greg Schmidt from the Lucas Oil Lane. Are they around side by side, or are they running individual?
Well, that was relieving to say the least. It left. It wasn't doing much down low. It was pretty slow. It was 136 to the 60 foot. I don't remember what 330 was. Went 536, 537 at the 8th. So it did well up top. We don't have the kill tune up in it yet, but at least we got some A to B on the car. Finally, I was really sweating after that first pass. Man, I really goofed this up. I'm not ready for this, and I was kind of a dickhead back in the pits. So luckily everybody here helping out, kind of used to me making a big deal out of nothing. So I think we got something to work with now. We're gonna start putting some more power in it down low and see if we got to take at least a 1/10 and a half off that 60 to get where we should be. So make a couple more changes, get a little bit more aggressive, and see what happens. Well, I got a feeling that one might have been the last pass of the weekend. Something is very
a couple more changes, and we really shortened up the ramp, so it should have been a really nice pass. It should have been like maybe a 20 or so. And as soon as I went to put it on the brake, I could tell something was not happy at all. As soon as I let go, there's just no power in the car. It went, yeah, 139 to the 60, 560. So I don't know. It feels like it's down on power big time. I don't know. We'll see what's going on with it. So no worries. Car's just fine, unlike I thought. So my kid showed up for the last pass. I was all excited because he's never really got to see the car run. Well, he was standing here in the passenger door helping me, well, not helping me tune it. He was watching me tune it. And the wife was over there and she's like, hey, stop playing with that. And I'm like in my own head, so I'm not thinking about nothing. Well, it turns out he was playing with the regulator and he spun her clean down to 9. So we're supposed to have 24 pounds of dome pressure. We had 9. So he just dialed her into a 560. I don't know, maybe he thought it was a little quick or something, try to slow her down a bit. But so good news is the car's fine. Bad news is we just wasted our last pass of the day. So we'll try again to do what we want to do. Either way, watching the video and the log, it made what we wanted to on the hit, and we still think it can take a lot more. So we're still gonna make an adjustment for the next one tomorrow.